Okay. Whenever I get to the fifth base, I cannot escape my personal attachment to it. I was talking earlier about the addictiveness of symbols, and I don't imagine that any symbol has actually ever had such an impact on me. I have hats that have it and shirts that have it. I have a blanket that I sleep under that has it woven into its surface. Yeah, I don't know. You know? Some things you just don't know. Some things have their own power. For me, glyphs are an extraordinary thing. I mean, there is so much magic in them. I can remember when I began my long journey of informing myself about the different cultural approaches to the planets and the stars, because I truly knew nothing about it. And I remember investigating the stars. According to Arab tradition, they were really the star masters. The Babylonians were interested in planets, but the Arabs had this fascination with the stars. Most stars still carry what are Arabic names, and all of those stars have a symbol, and the symbols seem for me to carry much more information. I mean, I have a very strong visual cortex. My ability to focus on images. It's how I teach you. I teach from images. I don't teach from notes, as you well know. There is something about the visual that seems to reveal things to me. And the glyphs of the stars, because the stuff written about them was very primitive, very primitive, very basic descriptions that, in all honesty, really didn't carry much meaning. But the glyphs did. I mean, because all the knowledge was there, all the information was in the glyph, and it was simply the limitation of the interpreters of the glyphs, as to what could be drawn out. And, when I come here to the subjective, I come to this extraordinary glyph. I mean, this glyph, this image this way, now it could be a human, as an example, 2 legs and the arms. It's actually also the basic schematic of the structure of Penta. This is the original. When I was shown what Penta was, it's not the way people see Penta. That is, this is the way that I was shown it. It's just easier to move from design to Penta when you have a similar configuration that you can see and work with. It's something that Penta students are taken through. But anyway, this symbol, this is a very, very profound symbol for the synthesizing of the illusion. And the synthesizing of the illusion, by the way, is all constructed by the dynamic of Penta. So there is a very, very deep connection here. In other words, this is not any of these things. It is something else. It is a whole that's greater than the sum of its parts, and it has an operating mechanism. And that operating mechanism is the way in which, ultimately the genetic body is able to come together with everything else and to be able to produce through its reproductive process, this ongoing chain of life. And this chain of life, the family, which is the bedrock of all existence, that the family is automatically penta. You cannot have a family without a penta. It's always penta. And so the very construct of the way in which the illusion is held together is that the illusion is held together through the penta. That's why the ultimate expression, the ultimate perfection, if you will, of the potential of this grand synthesis is the conscious penta, what the rave ultimately will be. Obviously, this is the final step in being able to endow, this construct itself with a strategic personality. The first thing to notice in the image is that when you move to the center, that there are no directional arrows. There aren't. There aren't any directional arrows because, in a way, the best way to see this is to think of this as being a pyramid. And you've raised the pyramid, above your head, and you're looking up at its bottom. And the bottom of that pyramid is this, this is the bottom. And you're looking up towards that top, that peak, as if you were looking through a crystal and it was clear so that you could see the lines of the sides going out towards the top, towards the pinnacle. What you then have is four faces. These four faces, or the four sides of the pyramid. And you have its base. And you see the base requires no direction in the sense that it has access. It has automatic access because it is the foundation in essence upon which everything else sits. And if you turn the pyramid upside down, then it is the way, in a sense, that I'm teaching you. In other words, I'm teaching you that here are the four corners, and if you bring these four corners together, what you get is this synthesis. This is the pyramid upside down. The face is slowly working towards getting to that base. But in fact, you could look at it exactly the other way. That everything emerges out of the base, and you turn the pyramid upside down. Now, why am I describing that? Because you see, this is the essence of juxtaposition. It's the essence of it. And this is the sixth symbol that's not here. It's all a juxtaposition. Okay. So, let's think about the beings that carry this facet. This is the interesting thing. After all, what do we know about base? We know that base is an initiating frequency. We know that it is about orientation and position. The beings that are carrying this, they are synthesizing agents. They're synthesizing agents. They are the source of illusion. Now, remember, I'm deconstructing this. This is a vast process. But I want you to think about it for a moment. You see, everybody carries as their eternal marking, because we all carry the same personality crystal, incarnation after incarnation, and night of Brahma after night of Brahma, whatever the case may be. We each carry this specific orientation. If we're looking at it, the majority in that sense is always carrying a very specific agenda. I mean, that's its role, after all. Its role is to filter that corner, whatever that corner happens to be. It is not in itself integrated into the illusion. It contributes to the illusion. But there are forces that hold the illusion together. This is what makes them so interesting. In other words, without them, if we could imagine such a thing, let us annihilate, all of the fifth bases. We get rid of them all. We no longer have an illusion. I mean, it will all break down. There will be no existence. Certainly not self-reflected consciousness. I think. And remember, this is expressed, in the terms of humanity. I think. It doesn't come from any of these. Mind is just a construct. To be present. Oh, I love this. I mean, to be present. What that really means, how densely this creates illusion. This is the great instrument of illusion, and it can never be separated from the self-reflected I think, because that's what makes it, not mind. The I think. The I think makes it all up. All of it. Everything. Makes it all up. And of course, it is the it making it all up. I mean, it doesn't make it up alone. It's being made up as a filter through all of those positioners and orienters that are carrying it. See, we're not well organized. I mean, the distant future holds a system of organization that would make the 17.5 weep with joy, The perfection of hierarchical alignment. You see, because this is all penta-oriented. Remember, it's penta-oriented. This is the secret of understanding the way in which base influences everything. It influences it not simply by being within, but it influences it from the top down. And we have blindly been controlled by the pentic illusion for as long as there's anything to remember. And only in the last gasp of this planet's turn is the penta going to be endowed with consciousness, the final experiment. The units, they're units. 5 units. 5 units that theoretically have a fractal that binds them together into this unit, this penta, and this penta creates an illusion. You see, they're in people. They're in you and me. And we are not aligned correctly. I talk so much about geometry lately because throughout my process, I keep on trying to find easier and easier metaphors to grasp what it means to be correct and what the consequences or the potential of that is. And that it's all rooted in movement. I mean, it can't be seen any other way. It is about movement. If one is moving correctly, in other words, if one is following what is one's correct geometry, then there is an inevitability to, the union of forces. Because that's really what it's all about. I mean, in essence, all of us come from a fractal construct that binds us to these different aspects that we ourselves do not have. And that there is an intention, if you will, in the movement of the program to align these forces. But of course, if the individuals are not aligned correctly in their geometry, what we get is a kind of chaos. And what we get is the randomness in the way in which this illusion is produced. I mean, think about it. It works at many, many levels. It's working in the neutrino ocean. You have this vast neutrino ocean, the density of which is hard to imagine. And in that dense neutrino ocean, it is moving through a planet in which there are all these filtering agents, all of these crystal filtering agents. This is creating this vast projection field of the illusion we live in. I mean, it doesn't matter to the overall process that at this stage, we do not have we are not properly organized hierarchically. We're not. You can only align yourself in life to those forces that are correct for you when you are operating correctly in your geometry, but them too. It's not so easy. I mean, it just isn't. And this is truly what it's about. And because it is not easy, as a matter of fact, because it was never the plan of the program to see that as vast mutative potential, it isn't. It's simply been a genetic predisposition. That the penta homogenizes us, controls us. Oh, I know the dark side of this subjective, its dark side, because it is so purely subjective. Illusion is built on mind. Everything else is there to support it. The evolution is there to build the construct. The being is there to provide the genetic replicative advancement and mutative potential of the construct itself. The individuality is there to mark the possibilities of different levels of this consciousness and the ego to feed it. All there to create the mechanism of illusion. I think, therefore I am, or something, I think. It's hard to get past it. I mean, if you look to the east, you look to the west, you look to the thinkers, hard to get past it. In the east they say, well, I am that, or I am this, or I am that I am. But it's still I am. And I am as I think. It cannot be anything else. I mean, this is the whole power of the delusion. It's how we are so blindly manipulated. It's mind, it's all mind. It's all I think. And I think creates personality, if you can put it that way. It is personality. It is presence. It's presence. I am here. I am here, therefore I think. I am aware that I am here. It is a place. This is not the mind or the ego or the individuality or the body. This is space. It's a place. It is the magic of, no two objects can occupy the same space at the same time. It is the brilliance of the spaces between things, between the notes, between the fingers, the space between you and me. This is the world of illusion. This is how it makes everything happen. If there is a space between you and me, then there is room for comparison. We can begin to measure. How far away are you from me? We can begin to compare. You look different than I do. This is our illusion. It is the I think. And this I think is limited to where you are. I am here, and this is the way I think. I am present here, which means I am alive. It's funny, nowhere, no place else here do you see that word. Life. I mean, these are stones, if you will, crystals, if you will, whatever. After all, the voice said to me, you can call them crystals. That wasn't exactly being specific. Life. See, life isn't in the corners. It really isn't. It's all inanimate. It has to be, after all. It's just a stone, or whatever. It's the byproduct. It's the moving through. It's the illusion that is everything. Everything. That's its magic. We wake up in the morning and we make it up all over again. You wake up in the morning and you remind yourself that you're in the world, that you're in your room, that you're in your bed, that you have things to do, or things to be, or things to see. You think about yesterday, and you think about tomorrow, and you reconstruct the illusion that you live in, the concerns that your illusion has, because when you sleep, they're not there. You wake up and you remind yourself all over again of what it is to be human and what it is to be in the world. It's a mantra that runs through us as chemistry. Our illusion that we are this and we are that, and there is this and there is that. But you see, if there was no mind, then there is no longer illusion. But then again, there is no real life unless you call vegetation, in that sense, a life. See, this illusion is, I am alive in the world. I'm here. Presence is something that's really interesting. I mean, I live in the countryside. All creatures want to make their presence known. I mean, it's so beautiful in nature. You know, the sound of the birds, the insects, frogs, dogs, you know, roosters. And it is one of these deep, 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 deep things in us because of this place, that forces us to call out our presence. I am here. This is life. Life is making your presence known, you know. Oh, it's such a beautiful joke. Perfect, actually. You know, because we do make it up every day. We do. Now, isn't that a delight? I think it's wonderful. You see the association, by the way, with the personality. But you know, space is form. This is the whole thing about illusion. The way in which everything operates in the illusion is dependent on the manipulation of the form. Forms have to change. If the forms don't change, we know that there is no eventual fulfillment of whatever the potential may be. And the mechanisms for changing forms, you know, there is all kinds of mechanisms. Many of them are just very, very slow, glacial changes like the erosion of a mountain. I mean, one of the geniuses of the LIFE program is that the bioform offered the greatest opportunity for mutative experimentation. It could be changed every generation, and generations are short. You know, you can have some generations where you can get 20 generations of flies in a day, you know, whatever the case may be. So it is the form that becomes the essential tool of the illusion. We have this illusion of our forms, our bodies, the world around us, all of this. You cannot build the illusion without the form. One should be careful when confusing the form with matter, because they're very different. I mean, it's rooted in the yin, but it is a manipulation after all. It's an illusion. And the illusion is hearing. Hearing. Acoustics. I mean, acoustics. Everything about consciousness is about frequency. Without frequency, there is no consciousness. And yet frequency is by its very nature a form. A form. That is, frequency is a construct within the illusion. And the frequencies are broken into various aspects. You know, narrow wave frequencies and broad wave frequencies. The difference between smelling and seeing and feeling. But everything about I think is the interpretation of frequency. I mean, this is what the brain does. That is, the brain interprets frequency and changes it into data. And the data, in one way or another, is delivered to the consciousness, or the self-reflected consciousness. It's all frequency. And of course, when we talk about the Word, in the beginning, sort of, to understand that in terms of humanity, and again, we are looking at this within the context of humanity, that in terms of humanity, the Word is something that is absolutely a part of I think, I am present, I am alive. But more than that, it is an act of profound genius. Because of course, the Word itself, because it is a frequency, can be concretized in other ways. In other words, the very grandness of our illusion is based on the fact that we are able to store, because we can write, we are able to store and we can record enormous amounts of verbal information. Huge amounts. The bigger the search engine, the deeper the Maya. And the more there is this presence, I think. It's one of the most fascinating things about the technological age that we live in, and the kinds of things that are exploding in terms of movements, the YouTube kind of thing, the blogging phenomena. You have millions and millions of people who are making home videos and putting them up on the web and saying, hey, look, I'm here. Dogs howling at the moon. I'm here. There's a lot of I am here. I am present. I am here. You can see the sophistication of this progression, this evolutionary progression of the way in which the density of the Maya operates. This is what the subjective brings. And it brings the subjective. It's one of my jokes, my very, very personal jokes. Einstein's four-dimensional system is called relative. And juxtapositions, five-dimensional, is called subjective. It's all relative and it's all subjective. This is really the truth, eh? That's the great juxtaposition, the relative and the subjective. And it tells you the way we're blinded. I think you can hear the smile on my face because it's hard to get it off because it's very funny. What illusion really is. It's relative and subjective, if you want to know the truth. Which means that there is no universal truth. It can't be. There can be absolute mechanics, that I know now. But there's no universal truth. You can tell because it's all relative and subjective. It can't be anything else. That is the dimension we live in. You see, my work is to try to enrich enough lives that some of them will truly become their own authority. This is the only way that you break through the veil. It's like my Jovian logo of the guy, this wonderful woodcut of the man sticking his head through the sky. The only way you stick your head through the sky is that you have to accept that the illusion we live in is relative and subjective. And that truth must be your own. Because there is nothing else to trust. And even that, if you'll pardon the joke, is relative and subjective. But at least it's your own. Your truth. Your authority. But see the way the cards are stacked. I think it's rather beautiful, the relative subjective by verse. Now remember that this is intended to be poetic, that's how it was written. And you need to deconstruct each and every one of these to really have a sense of what is intended here, or what my own inspiration at the time was, because it, as I said, it goes back to the very beginnings of my first writing down things in design. The hearing is music is it's about orchestrating life. It is about harmonizing life. And in many senses, it is the most homogenizing of all expressions. You know that music is homogenizing. You know, you discovered that when you were a teenager. There was some singer, group, whatever it was, and they released a very catchy song, and everyone of your generation bought it, listened to it over and over and over again, had it in their head. And it stayed in their head. I mean, it stayed there. And a whole generation took a set of music and lyrics and hardwired them into their brain. I mean, I know that. I can still do my share of the music that influenced me when I was, a teenager. It's never left me. Nor the sentiments that were carried in the music. Those things get burned into us. And it's something to see that, my connection to this, if I can, from the personal perspective, my connection to this is that I see it as the great instrument of, existence, in the sense that it's what I found so interesting about the Matrix movies. Basically this construct where you have human beings that are being kept in a coma-like state in order to take advantage of their bodies, the energy from their bodies, and that the only way that they can maintain them as viable lives was to create an illusionary construct that they would accept. To create the illusion. As long as you create the illusion, then life can be substantiated. And it was actually a very brilliant concept. I mean, and in the way that they laid it out, it was very clever. But in fact, they were touching at something that is in essence absolutely right on, because it really is the way that it works. That is, we are acoustically homogenized. It is one of the most powerful things that we have as beings. How, we are being constantly moved to be harmonic in the way in which we think. This is homogenization. You can see that in the construct of political parties where, the platforms of political parties are, basically just simply polarities of certain set concepts, and everything that's in the full spectrum in between, in a sense, is being subjugated to a central dynamic in order to homogenize everybody to that particular song. And every political party and every company that has a product has advertising and advertising slogans and singing salespeople, and it goes on and on and on. The illusion is maintained, and harmony is one of the ways in which it is controlled, to get people to harmonize in the way they think. And it's just a controlling mechanism. I mean, even when you have a set of music that offends one generation, which often happens, and not another. The program doesn't care. You got the homogenizing of a new generation, all bound together by their programming. It's like those people who think that, there are religions that think that the listening of music is something that is evil and should never be done. It's not unwise. It just seems so out of place in our world. And when I say it's not unwise, it's not like I'm recommending that. I love music, make it every day. It's an extraordinary thing. But to grasp what it does, what I like about the level of the bass is that you can deconstruct things. You can look differently at the way in which things operate. You can begin to see them for what they are without turning them into the enemy. Homogenization is not something that I can endorse because that's not my role and that's not the role of this knowledge. Yet at the same time, it is an incredible thing and wonderful to see what it's doing because I know where it's going. It's on the right track. All of that is correct. And of course it is correct for us in that sense, in a larger sense that, without this harmonizing, we're not going to be able to fuse the illusion into a solidity. A subjective solidity, but nonetheless, it's what holds it all together. You can see how every culture, every civilization, they all have their special brand of music and slogans and, tribes have their songs and their chants and, if you go to school, your club has this song and your school has a song and your country has a song and, your state has a song and your province has a song and it goes on and on and on and on. Let's all be homogenized. Let's do the number. Quite something when you think about it this way. It's just a homogenizing agent. Think about all those people before some sporting event, They all stand up, and they have to listen to, one or two national anthems. Homogenizing. And when you're at one of these events where you've got your national anthem's going to be sung in some other country, you can feel your acoustic resistance to their song. We're funny creatures. The illusion is such a fascinating thing. And then, of course, comes the great and wonderful joke. And I'm all for black humor. Speaking of music, what was that line? Freedom's just another word for nothing else to lose. Music is freedom. Being harmonized brings freedom. Being homogenized, so-called, well, yeah. But if you really deconstruct this, what it's really leading to is that this is one of the, it's one of these goads, it's one of these dreams that's built into this illusion to be free of the form. This illusion to be able to transcend the form and go to God, This illusion that, one can leave the hard life behind. This illusion that, and it goes on and on and on and on and on. Freedom. But of course, it's subjective. This is not the objective. This is the subjective. When you look at this image, remember that one of the ways to explore this image is to look at the three combinations. In other words, the relationships between, what is in fact the combination of a side, and the way in which that side is taken in. This combination, for example, of, the mind and the ego. And it's the mind and the ego that are going to form the basis of what we're going to call civilization. And so this civilization becomes one of the foundations of I think. I think in terms of civilization. I think in terms of harmonizing it, homogenizing it, defining it more and more, developing its presence, developing its personality. Do you notice how when we think of nations, we think of a single personality? You say, I don't know, whatever, French, Hungarian, Russian, German, American. There is immediately this sense of personality. Because the civilization, based on the way in which the construct works, is always projecting outward acoustically through frequencies its slogan, its persona. It's the same thing when you think about humanity, the mind and the genetic body. And that mind and the genetic body, well, it has to make its presence known. It has to find a way to harmonize. One of the great challenges that we faced in human design, the harmonizing of the mind with the body, the acceptance of mind, of the power of, I was going to say dominance, but that's too strong, the power of the body. And this one, friction. Friction. See, the other side of civilization is friction. And friction, the body and individuality, the struggle to express oneself, the struggle to define one's presence, that this leads to conflict, and that conflict is part of the construct and can never be escaped. It can't. And it's not that violence exists in the being, and it's not that violence exists in the movement. It comes alive in the illusion. It's the illusion that brings all these things together. The illusion combines humanity and the earth, civilization and friction into this dance. It's actually very beautiful. And yet you can see the elements that are there. And that you can see that these elements all are driven to be expressed, defined, remembered, designed. It goes on and on. The great success of the evolutionary process is the density of the Maya that we live in today. And the density of the Maya we live in today is this, the work of this construct, and how powerful the rolling wheel of the detail of Maya, how powerfully dense it makes the illusion. I mean, it wasn't long ago that people thought that you fell off the edge of the world if you sailed too far. The illusion of the world was very limited. There may have been giant tortoises underneath holding it all up, Our world becomes denser and denser and denser. We look outwards in great swaths of time and space. We have so much information, data, all of it. And along with it comes the most powerful homogenizing agents that the planet, as us, as humans, could ever imagine. I mean, Big Brother is in everything that you see. It's all around you. Whether it's the television or newspapers or books or music, it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter whether it's coming from the baker or the candlestick maker, it is all dense Maya. And everyone claiming their presence. And that their presence is based on their ability to think according to their relative place in space. And they think that life itself is their thinking. You know, and then human design comes along and says, excuse me, but we have a problem here. It's nice that the mind maintains the illusion. And it is clear that we can't get mind to give up maintaining the illusion. It couldn't. It is what it is. This I think, this presence that is demanded by the subjective dimensions. The dilemma is identification with it. The dilemma is, I think, therefore I can decide. And I think, therefore I can decide is the mantra of the homogenized world. Because I think I have the right to decide is the mantra of the homogenized world. As George Bush so succinctly put it when he said, I am the decider. Yeah, thank you very much. There's presents for you. I think, therefore I am the decider. This is the illusion. See, mechanisms. If you don't understand how things work, you're never, ever free. And freedom is, after all, a theme in this illusion. See, for me, freedom is to be in the illusion and yet not subject to its authority. This is perfection. I like the illusion. I like it very much. You know, I enjoy being on this plane. I enjoy being in a human body. I like all of it. I wouldn't want to give it up for a moment. But I also understand what it is. And in understanding what it is and the way in which things work, well, I know I don't have to play along with all of it, you know. The illusion is not my authority. It's what I watch. It's what I enjoy. It is the deep source of my entertainment in this life. The deep source of my entertainment. You know? It's what it is. It's perfect. It's beautiful. It's very clever, you know. And in it you can see all the elements of the helplessness of humanity. They are helpless. Remember that the instrument of this illusion is the penta. And the penta forms all of us. We're all born in them. We end up having our own, you know. We work in pentas. We socialize in pentas. It goes on and on and on. And human beings don't have any conscious access to that. It's just another instrument of control. There is no escape from the illusion that is perpetrated by the subjective. No. There is only the possibility that comes to anyone who understands their own mechanics and has the ability to simply be able to operate according to their authority. There is no other way to free us. As long as mind, as long as the I think, I can decide rules the life is caught in the homogenized trap, can't get out. And there is no freedom. It's just a song. But when you can move the authority of your decision-making process to your vehicle, that's the moment that the I think becomes Academy Award material. Something to sit back, kick your legs up, and enjoy the movie. Well, I think I am done, and therefore, something like that. Anyway, nice to share that with you. Had a funny muse today. But enjoy the illusion. It's a good illusion. And all of you take care. Have an entertaining weekend, after all. Enjoy your presence. Anyway, you take care. Bye for now.